Fire bookstore to go pick up this one book.
The only thing I read is people.
Bitch.
Hey guys, we're back 2 weeks later in the same clothes.
Guys,
weird.
we don't change. JK. Anyways.
We do change. We evolve. Ooh, big stretch. Okay. I have a feeling today's gonna get creepy.
Creepy and a little sad, so be prepared, everybody.
Well, do you have something you want to say?
I do, and I forgot to say it at the beginning of the last episode, and I'm glad you gave like a couple of excerpts in there about You Run Podcasts, because I totally forgot at the very beginning what I was supposed to do. So, hi everyone, welcome to our podcast. As you know from the previous episodes and the fact that we just got back into the groove of recording.
It's been like a month for us. Quite literally.
This podcast is part of the You Run Podcast Network, where you can find all sorts of fun and exciting podcasts just like ours. So you can check them out. They are linked in our bio, as always, and they're always in the show notes. And then welcome to the Paranormal Misfits podcast, where the curious roam, the weird feels at home, and horror is just another day in the office. And I am your host, Chrissy.
And I'm your host. What are you sipping on right now, friend? Tell them.
I am sipping on my second cup of Cafe Du Monde.
I'm eating seasoned avocado slices.
That
Salt,
sounds tasty.
pepper,
What'd you season them with?
Salt, pepper, and then paprika flakes.
Ooh, that sounds tasty.
Delish. Yeah, I'm trying to turn to the side and disappear. You know what I mean?
But still have a bubble, right? That's what you know.
Oh, the thing about me is when I turn to the side, I want to click the capital letter P. All right.
You see that? It's like the video meme or whatever, where the reporters like talking on the thing, and they have this guy on like the Gertie, and they're walking past, and like literally has the most bubbliest ass ever, and the reporter's
it's fake, right?
I do, but it's just always
it's
fabulous.
Just such a juicy peach. Call me James, because that's one giant peach. God. Okay. Well,
right.
Last
Any
week was who do I want to shout out? Shout out to my friend Kiki. She is so hardworking and she's so fucking amazing. And also, if I'm not mistaken, this episode is slated to come out. It's August 17th. This episode is coming out at the end of August, right? The 31st.
I think so.
And which means today I am on my way to Jerome, Arizona, and gonna go explore spooky stuff to come back and talk about it on the podcast.
Nice. That's so funny. Leading in, everybody, this is a 2-part episode, and I hope you enjoyed Nino's discussion and his experiences over in Bosnia on our last episode. What up? But this one is the 2-parter. We're going to be talking about Pennhurst Asylum. So the first part we're going to be going over, I will be going over to kind of give you guys like an overview of what Pennhurst is and what it's known with, both historically and spiritually. And then our second part, we're going to have 2 really amazing guests. They are paranormal investigators. Dave, who is Warrior Paranormal, and then his friend James, who is the investigator of Cross the Line Paranormal. They had just...
Wait, it's okay.
It's okay. They had just investigated Pennhurst during when Tropical Storm Beryl was coming through the southeast.
Damn, Beryl.
I know. They have got some stories, and I'm really excited for it. On top of that, it's so funny you said Jerome, because one of his goals is to get over to Jerome and go investigate.
Oh, yeah. We're
like everywhere.
I don't know how big of a trip we're doing. I think we're doing like an overnight or a day trip or something. I don't know. Future Nino, feel free to tell us. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm in Jerome right now, or I'm in Jerome.
It's the 31st, yeah.
Yeah. And the future, I'm the Stephen Hawking of paranormal stuff. Like, remember when Stephen Hawking had a party for time travelers and he announced it the day after?
Yes.
And no one came?
That's you.
No, except for I'm pulling a That's So Raven, like, you know? Yeah. I don't know where I was going, and that's fine. I'm knee deep in some avocado slice. But tell us a little bit more about what Pennhurst is, and I will still be here with you in physical person. I'm just going to eat an avocado slice or 5.
Just so everybody knows, I have like 4 or 5 pages worth of notes. So,
Girl?
I know. Don't worry. I talk fast.
Also really quick, before we get into everything, make sure that those of you who are listening, thank you so much for being a part of the audience of the Paranormal Misfits podcast. Feel free to check out our show notes where you can find the link to our merchandise. The merchandise helps us out so much. Feel free to give us 5 stars, subscribe, and follow on all social platforms that are applicable. Thank you so much. Chrissy, go ahead and continue.
You sound like, I feel like I'm in Disney World.
I have to speak like that because I do that in the Smart Friend episodes where I'm like, how the heck are you going to go into that dark house where, there's like a wooden floorboard that's going to give out and you're going to fall into the bottom of a pit?
I know.
Like, I have to. Anyways, okay, love you, bye.
Okay. All right. So Pennhurst Asylum is what it's known as right now. You can usually find, you could type it in and you'll find a plethora of videos on like Instagram, TikToks, YouTube. You could type it into the search bar in most streaming platforms, and some sort of well-known investigation group that has a TV show has probably investigated it. Okay. So Pennhurst State School and Hospital began its operation on November 23rd, 1908. It was originally, so it went by a few names. So Pennhurst State School and Hospital. It was also known as Eastern Pennsylvania State Institution for the Feeble-minded and Epileptic. When I tell you the naming
Jesus
of these institutions in the early 1900s, like, I'm like, damn, could you be any meaner? Like, shit. Because what they considered feeble-minded were, like, people with, like, ADHD or...
Oh, we wouldn't have made it.
Yeah, we wouldn't have.
We wouldn't have made it.
I have a cousin with Down syndrome. He'd have been in there, most likely, because that's where a lot of the people that families were like, oh, I don't want to, or I can't anymore. I'm going to drop you off here. Right? So, it was a state-run institution for the mentally and physically disabled. This location ran for 79 years in Spring City, Pennsylvania.
In America?
Uh-huh. Before its official closure on December 9th, 1987.
I was still in Bosnia.
I wasn't
even born.
6 months old? 7? I don't know. I can't math. I'm born in May. 6 or 7 months. I had no fucking idea. Okay, moving on.
What the fuck?
Oh, no. All right, so this place is massive. So if you ever get a chance to watch some videos, even like the urban explorers, find the ones that give you the aerial shots. So there are technically 2 campuses in total to this institution. You have an upper campus and a lower campus. So the lower campus is where the first few buildings were constructed on 633 acres of land.
Holy hell.
Like, it could literally be its own town. And
how many acres?
633. There's more, don't worry.
It's getting slightly demonic.
And it had 14 buildings originally when it first opened.
Of course the fuck it did.
Now, the campus in total ended up having 21 buildings in what was considered the lower campus, and then 6 in the upper campus. The older buildings, which is the lower campus, were all 2-story and connected by fireproof tunnels underground that they used to transport patients. At some point, the Pennsylvania Railroad created the Pennhurst station, to where Pennhurst itself had a train track where supplies could come in directly to them
without interruption.
And it said that you can still see the tracks under the pavement.
Supplying?
I know. You can see the tracks under the pavement behind the Dietary Hall and the Devon building.
Dietary Hall?
Mm-hmm. That's what they called it. So after the doors officially opened in November of 1908, within 4 years, Pennhurst was overcrowded and under constant pressure to admit immigrants, orphans, and criminals. So anyone that was deemed undesirable to the community were sent there. And that is something, because I was also reading on another institution that was actually over closer to DC, also had the same issues too.
I'm looking at pictures.
It's creepy.
There's a movie.
Yeah. I want to say, was it
Pennhurst in 2023?
It was a Hayden Panettiere.
Panettiere.
Sorry.
Put some respect.
I'm sorry.
Put some respect on Kirby Reed.
I'm sorry. I think she was the one who's in that movie.
Let me take a look.
Okay. So upon admission, patients were classified into 3 categories. You had mental, which was more of like, were you slow or are you insane?
That wasn't meant to be shady or anything like that, but the way you said, are you slow or are you, bitch, tell me why. That's I'm using that, bitch. Are you slow or are you insane?
Physical, which was, are you epileptic or are you healthy? And then dental, so whether you had good teeth, poor teeth, or your teeth needed to be treated.
I speak for myself when I say my teeth is healthy. Thank you, surgery. So,
like, what I gathered with Pennhurst was that originally it had good intentions, which they all swear by. And with this place, the residents, they were assigned to various industries such as mattress making, shoemaking and repair, farming, laundry, domestic duty, sewing, baking, butchering, painting, and working in the store. So they were trying to make themselves sufficient within, like, I guess, like a village. So this goes without saying, Pennhurst is a very dark hole when it comes to the mental health history. In 1913, a legislature appointed a commission for the care of the feeble-minded that stated disabled people were unfit for citizenship and posed a menace to society. This also desired to prevent the intermixing of genes. So eugenics played a part in this as well.
So like biracial, no.
Not biracial. Someone who's not as intellectually up to speed.
Versus someone who is.
Right.
Got it.
Or someone who may have bipolar. Also, same as well. By 1916, there was a plan to construct cottages for women so that there were no pregnancies that could occur.
Are you?
Yes.
Also, the Pennhurst... Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to... On some immediate research. The Pennhurst thing that came out in 2023 was a documentary. So there's no, like... meaning paid actor type thing.
Okay. I have to look at... Was it that one? I don't remember. There is one where she went to go film.
I'm also on Hayden Panettiere's IMDb.
Because she's on, like, there was, like, the celebrity ghost haunting thing or whatever TV show.
You keep going. I'll find this.
Okay.
She was in A Bug's Life. Did you know that?
Who's she voice? The blue one?
Oh, the video game. She was in the Bug's Life video game.
All right. While it wasn't the first asylum to be understaffed, overpopulated, and going under the radar for the treatment of its parents as a state-ran asylum, it was Pennhurst that was exposed in 1968 on live television in a 5-part expose. So reporter Bill Baldini showed the deplorable conditions of its residents. Some were malnourished, not properly clothed, dirty in their own feces, chained to beds, bruised by staff and other residents. The staff were outnumbered and clearly couldn't keep up with the care for the residents. So it was this expose that got the attention needed for the reform for the disabled. By 1981, so he put this out in 1968, it took till 1981.
What is that, 12 years, 13 years?
Something like that. Where Time magazine also ran an article on the asylum as well. And then in 1983, 9 employees were indicted on charges of physically harming patients and having patients harm each other. So like a fight club.
First rule about Fight Club. I'm just kidding.
Okay. All right. There was the first lawsuit of its kind. So we had Halderman versus Pennhurst asserted that those with developmental disabilities in the care of the state have constitutional rights to appropriate care and education. With that, it took that case to get to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to make a ruling. And then Pennhurst officially closed in 1987. Now, some of the staff that is known there, we have Dr. Fear. And yes, his name was Dr. Fear. I believe you can also see him in the 1968 expose, one of the episodes there too. So he literally instilled fear in the patients by threatening them and subjecting the unruly patients in different manners. One of the manners being if they bit someone, they would remove all their teeth. Another one being a patient had reported that they were injected with an injection that was painful, but it didn't cause damage. So he would inflict pain to basically prove a point. So please enjoy our little excerpt on the podcast that we are advertising this month from the You Run Podcast Network.
What's up, cool kids? This is Tasha here with my trusty sidekick, Journey the Horror Dog, who will inevitably whine in the background of every single episode of our new podcast, The Ghoulish Gallery. I'm just here to give you an idea what's coming up. Each week, I'm going to have a guest on to give us the scoop on their local lore, urban legends, cryptids or monsters, creepy places, all that good stuff that we love. Fortunately for all of us, there are a whole lot of badass horror people out there willing to educate us on the spooks and other things lurking in the dark in their neck of the woods. If you're interested in being a guest, hit me up on Twitter at TMR_8706 or Ghoulish Gal Pod. It's going to be Ghoulish, GALPOD. I'll be happy to put you on the list. Hit me up.
Now, just as a reminder, this is part of the You Run Podcast Network, where you can find other awesome and amazing podcasts just like this. And also, Ghoulish Gallery is currently on a season break and will return within due time. Make sure you check out her other episodes on Spotify, Apple, and all other sorts of streaming platforms. Welcome back from our little tiny break. All right, so as of right now, like I said, the Pennhurst shut down officially in 1987. Most of the 32 original buildings are now demolished or abandoned, and some have even been repurposed to, if I'm not mistaken, they use it for haunted house. Also, patients who misbehaved were placed in isolation. Some wanted attention so badly they self-inflicted injuries to get out of isolation. Patients who tried to bite staff members or other patients had to have their teeth removed. So, in regards to the case, the Halderman versus Pennhurst, Terry Lee Halderman had visited her parents for the weekend, and they were alarmed when they noticed unexplained bruises on their daughter. They went to court, and the court decided the facility had to be closed. This happened in 1987, and the remaining 1,156 patients were moved to smaller community homes. The Halderman versus Pennhurst case became known as the Pennhurst Doctrine, which has been cited by state attorneys general as binding under the United States constitutional law. So the number of patients who died at Pennhurst is actually unknown, but the energy of the patients and the frustration of the staff is absorbed inside the building walls. Since 2017, overnight and paranormal investigations are available, all for $1,200. That's actually not bad if you drag in about 8 people.
12 people, 100 apiece.
Depends. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, we could split it 3 ways. You, me, Desi, each 400.
So, during the investigations, you'll be able to investigate 2 buildings, the very haunted Mayflower building and the underground tunnels of the buildings of Philadelphia and Devon.
What makes the Mayflower building very haunted?
So the Mayflower was one of the dormitories, so it was strictly just a dormitory. And with the with the Mayflower, let's see. Yeah, the Mayflower actually has an angry nurse where people have reported feeling stabbed by a needle when they enter the art room.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's so necessary.
Now, throughout the second floor of the Mayflower as well is the spirit of a little girl who could be seen in different spots.
I'm actually really good that day.
You're okay? Are you sure?
I'm good that day.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Another
busy.
one is a little boy named Howie who likes to play with a Fisher-Price airplane that is there that they leave in their room.
Do you think that's why Hungry Howie's Pizza is called Hungry Howie's Pizza?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Worth a shot.
It was worth a shot. There's also another, there's a shadow man who has repeatedly seen in the common room or the bathroom. Oh, he does have a name. That's the Fisher guy. Yeah. So in the common room or the bathroom of the Mayflower, you may see a shadow man who they have named Fisher. Can be found. And the reason why they did that is because they claim there is one of the rooms in the Mayflower that has the name Fisher like etched into the walls. But
I
again,
wasn't
these
on
are
that
like
boat.
these are also like buildings that have been left for shambles where,
Yeah.
people like to go in and vandalize or do teenage shit or whatever. Whatever people do. All right. So there are always reports of obviously the usual slamming of doors, disembodied voices, and footsteps can be heard all around the various buildings.
I love how you said the usual.
It is the usual. It's always the usual.
Just the standard.
So there's a building called the Quaker Hall, and there is an apparition of a lost and confused little girl who can be seen appearing in front of people, and then also the sounds of children playing and crying echo through the hallways.
Me during gym class getting picked last.
I mean,
she said, I can't answer that question.
I can't, unfortunately. Oh, here's another one. So the other thing, so the Mayflower, the Quaker, the Philadelphia, and the Devon were all part of the lower campus. So this lower campus were the ones that had the underground tunnels they used for transportation. Because, Pennsylvania, snow. They were like, I don't want to walk through snow.
Yeah, hey, honestly, get it how you can.
There is an apparition known as the King. He is an unfriendly entity who is believed to have been a ghost of a maintenance man who worked at Pennhurst during the 40s or 50s. His main lair is in the boiler room in the basement of the Mayflower building.
Lair?
Mm-hmm. That's what they called it.
You said lair.
Oh, sorry. He manifests himself as a shadow figure, but he also has plenty of energy to touch or even choke people.
Well,
the other thing is when people sense King to be around them, they also tend to smell cigar smoke.
Was that like his thing?
I don't see. No one knows. When you go down to the boiler room, you'll see many. This is where I get kind of confused, where it's like, oh, cigar smoke, but then you talk about cigarettes, and to me, those are two different smells.
Those are vastly two different smells.
Right. They are presented. A lot of investigators present him trigger objects. So
what do you mean by that?
So like trigger objects is in like they could potentially put down like a cigar. They could put down tools.
Something to like invoke him.
Mm-hmm.
Most
of the time they end up using REM pods now though, and it's not really like bringing like a physical item and then putting a REM pod next to it. Do you know what a REM pod is?
I know I don't, and if you could
you could just explain it to me.
You know what? I'm sure there's about 3 people who raise their hand.
They're probably like, why doesn't he watch anything? No.
I do. I watch stuff.
So the REM pod it's usually a round little, it's got a flat bottom. It's kind of it's kind of shaped like this, right? Like a cup without the handle. And there's an antenna on the top and it has little lights all around, right?
Oh, yeah.
And if you get close to it, if something gets close to it, it lights up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
I didn't know that's what it was. No, I actually knew what that was.
You're like, I knew what it was.
No, I knew what that was. I just didn't know what it was. Like, I know the physical. Whatever. You guys, I'm not dumb.
It's Saturday, guys, and we just got back.
We're just getting back into the swing of it. You should have seen us before I left for Bosnia. That was chaos.
It was. Let's see. So in the Mayflower, you'll find plenty of satanic symbols all over the walls.
Awesome.
According to the guides, people have broken into the facility when it was left abandoned to perform rituals that might have opened portals. That's a hit or miss for me because you have to really know what you're doing.
Also, Why are we going into places?
Because we're bored.
Have you, like, I want to go up to those people who are like, let's break into something and start like a seance. I'm like, have you tried mac and cheese?
I know, right? Have you?
Like,
A baked potato, like the stuffed baked potatoes
have you,
with like the
honestly,
crab
have
meat?
you had the new, like, saucy mozzarella sticks from Chili's? Like, they're actually really good.
Really?
It's not mozzarella sticks, it's mozzarella bricks.
Oh.
Anywho, something,
So,
let's not ADHD. Let's not.
I know. People
Because
who visited
we don't want to go to Pennhurst.
We do. We just want to do it under the guise of not doing something fucking that stupid. To go investigate.
I would definitely go investigate. I would investigate the police in the surrounding area.
So people who visited the Mayflower building can be overwhelmed by feelings of dread and sadness. Obviously, I feel like you would be overwhelmed with dread and sadness just walking onto the campus.
Have you take a walk in my shoes? Like, there you go. Like, that's dread.
I just mean, like, you know, it's an asylum. It was a place where patients were literally dropped off by their families.
And never heard from again, probably.
Some of them, you know, their parents were just like, hey, it's medically or it's too expensive, or like both of us work or whatever. We just need someone to watch our kid and give them the care that they need for the 24-hour care.
Drop them off in an asylum.
But it's also under the guise of like they were supposed to be helping them and they didn't. And I'm at the point of anything that's state ran, I wouldn't trust
Listen,
fucking like
anytime the government tells me we're from the government and we're here to help.
It's a no. It's a no-go.
It's giving, I don't want it. Anywho.
So apart from the noises of the slamming doors, footsteps, and the sound of a person vomiting, there is a creepy music box. I do not know. That one came in weird. Like, where the fuck did that come from? The music seems to be coming from everywhere, but no one has been able to locate the music box itself. Disembodied voices can be heard telling people to go away frequently. People have also heard phrases such as, I'll kill you, we're upset, and I'm scared. So, the Quaker building, which I talked about briefly, so that one, you can't really access it right now. Like, they're constantly in the state of, like, trying to fix it up to where could we potentially get into the next building? Could we potentially get deeper into the tunnels? Like, they're trying to do restorations, kind of.
Okay.
And I only say kind of because they also use it for a haunted house.
Like a Halloween attraction?
And
all right, so I just want to put this one out there. Has anyone seen Hell House?
Well, it's not only... I have a problem with that, though. Like, Hell House was a hotel, right? Essentially, the backstory, it was a hotel.
The backstory is that it was a hotel.
But we're using asylums that literally people were tortured because they were left under the care of people who, in the end, didn't care.
And now you're, like, monetizing.
Right. And it's not the first asylum they've done this to, where they've turned it into, like, an escape room or a horror house, you know?
There's more have done this? Obviously. Well, America is really about consumerism.
I know. Like, I get, like, I would get opening it up to do investigations, right? Because it's a paranormal hotbed for most investigators. Okay. And I also get giving guided tours, both historic and paranormal. Like, that's 100%, fine. You could totally leave it all there, but you don't have to go and then turn it into a haunted house attraction. Like, that's where I'm like, oh my God. All right. Getting back to it. So the Quaker building, for instance, is a scary place to be. People have seen shadow figures here, including the apparition of a female child with long black hair and long dangling arms.
Hey, I think I'm busy that day.
People have been pushed and scratched in the Quaker building.
Are you good, friend?
I'm not. Even had things thrown at them. I'm going to tell you right now, if someone throws something at me in a building that I cannot see, we're done.
One thing about me, I'm going to burn that bitch down.
I'm going to stand outside and I'm going to be like, y'all have fun. I'm going to be right here. We are solid.
I will burn it down.
Oh my God. A demonic entity is also said to cause injuries. Inside the Limerick building, people have reported seeing an apparition of a woman in an old-style nursing uniform. So, I don't know if people like not horror, but paranormal shows as much as I do.
Okay.
I'm hoping they do. Do you know that BuzzFeed has two friends? I think it's called like BuzzFeed Unsolved. It's a YouTube series. And they went to go investigate, and I had the best laugh. I watched it right before work because I'm like, oh, I need to see what people are experiencing right now, right? Because I don't want to give away what James and Dave have experienced. I want them to come on and talk about theirs, so I don't want to give that one away. Theirs is wild. So obviously, you know, you could do the guided tours, you could rent the site for a night. There's still medical equipment. There are still old, and I mean old, wheelchairs.
Like creaky.
Like they're wooden.
Ew.
Yeah. And you can find the beds. You can find some of the beds that still have like the restraints on them.
And no one decided to clear this out.
Nope. But then again, it also adds to the factor. All right. So on BuzzFeed, these two guys are named Shane and Ryan.
Okay.
All right. This is fabulous because one is Asian. And he's like the hardcore, like, I believe I'm going to find something. And the other one's this tall, gawky white guy who's literally
Is this the Try
hazing.
Guys?
No, it's not the Try Guys. I think they were after the Try Guys. Yeah. So they did experience hearing a tapping sound while taking photos on the second floor of the Mayflower while seeing if they could capture the elusive shadow man named Fisher. While investigating the art room, they were using dowsing rods. And while the dowsing rods weren't giving them anything, their audio recorder picked up what sounded like a distant scream. Although, you can debunk it, and they were trying to debunk it at the time of thinking it may have been an owl or a large bird. Now, I will say this in regards to the Pennhurst investigation.
What size bird?
A buzzard. No lie. Nope. Because Dave and James ran into one, and it started hissing at them. And I'm like, that would have been my cue. That would have been, hey, Christine's going to go somewhere else, guys.
I would have burned the entire thing to the ground.
I would say no, thank you. And then they also had another recording where it picked up distant whispers. On the third floor, where it is said that residents still lurk, Shane used the spirit box, which, do you know what a spirit box is?
Isn't it that thing that picks up, like, words?
It does, and it's the one that goes over kind of like the white noise.
Yeah.
Like it goes over various frequencies.
See, guys, I know what the fuck things are.
You got that one. Oh my god.
God, my favorite type of spirit box is the Halloween store.
I'm still waiting for fucking Spirit Halloween to open up around the corner.
I'm gonna get into it.
Izzy's.
No, we have Izzy's, but also like I'm at literally the front door of every Spirit Halloween saying, "Let me in now." And it can be nice.
All right. So they also got us. They pulled out the spirit box, and their audio recorder picks up another distant scream as he's asking for answers.
How many buzzards are there, Jesus?
Well, you got to think about it. Some of the buildings have like broken windows, holes in the ceiling. True. So when Ryan's going through with the spirit box, which I believe Ryan is the Asian guy who's the heavy believer, he captures on the spirit box to come through the word why, no, you, his name, please, Jeff, to the question that he asked of how many spirits are here, they said 4 or 3. The name Bree, and then Jeff again.
Jeff, I'm gonna need you to get the fuck out. Is it Dahmer?
God, I hope not. So guides and visitors have also claimed so they still have like the old, really rusted play sets out on the grounds. And it's said that sometimes you'll find a little girl swinging on the swing set who disappears. Yep.
And what day was this on?
Any day.
I'm busy.
I'm busy all the time.
I'm booked.
Also with the king, it is said that he doesn't like women. Although I get 2 reports on this, right? Because Portals to Hell with Jack Osborne, which I do like that show. Jack and Katrina do a really good job on theirs. When it was up and running. But before someone monopolized something. Okay, anyways. I get two different stories for 2 different spirits, so like I don't know which one it is. Some say it's the king, some say it's Fisher. But one of them is said to dislike women so much that if a woman visitor is there during like one of the investigations, even in a group investigation, like guided group investigations, it said that women have been bit, they have been scratched, have been scratched.
like
Yeah. Like marking of what looks like a bite pops
hell
up.
no.
Scratches.
No.
And their hair pulled violently.
Y'all.
Now, the other thing I will say to wrap it up, Portals to Hell by Jack Osborne and Katrina, I think it's like Weidman. They always bring on mediums to come through and do what they call a blind sweep of the locations. And with this one, her name's Michelle. So they blindfold her and walk her through all of these fucking buildings.
No.
And I'm watching it. And Jack Osborne, he's great, super gentleman. He's like, okay, we're going down some stairs. Just take your time. She's holding on to his arm and stuff. And so she, according to the energies that she has picked up in the buildings. So when you get to this one area, I believe I think it's called like Candyland. Which is also part of like the art area. I believe, I might be wrong. She senses where there was a found pentagram, like a pentagram made of ash on the floor. She said that there feels like there's an energy there that wasn't there as a patient, right? It feels older. She called it like a hulking presence, and it wasn't in the silhouette. She couldn't make out a face or anything because when they have her blindfolded, she's using obviously like her third eyesight. And she could tell you, she was standing in a room, she's blindfolded. She told them, she's like, okay, there's beds in here, and there were. She goes, but they're not beds, they're cots. She goes, and I see someone being like chained to said cot, which is true. They did chain their patients that they couldn't handle to the beds. So it's wild. I actually liked that episode because I didn't watch Ghost Adventures. Y'all can F off. I'm not going to watch. Not watching it again. I do like a
Chrissy
good
loves
portion.
Zach Bagans, so she's like his biggest fan.
Oh yeah, so big.
She's so big.
Okay. Anyways, that is the history and the information leading up to our second part of Pennhurst,
which will be next week.
It'll be next week
for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for
Nina,
us.
Are you excited? Are you excited to hear some firsthand accounts?
Oh my goodness. I'm so
think?
excited I shit myself.
See, halfway through the episode.
Halfway through the episode, I was like, oh my God, I have to kips. I'm really excited to hear like what their take on everything is, given like what information you have about what investigations have happened. I also am now, being like super close to you now with everything, I want to also talk about like what debunking might look like.
So I will say our guests that are going to be coming on next week are very good at immediately debunking.
Good. Okay.
They're not ones that are like, did you see this? Like, this is real. That's not.
I will have questions for them.
That's good. So,
what are their names again?
So it's Dave and James. Dave's handle on both Instagram and TikTok is Warrior Paranormal.
Okay.
And James is Cross the Line Paranormal is his main groups page. And then he has a sub page, but I believe that one's private.
Okay.
Let me see. Warrior Paranormal. They had also shown some of their evidence. Now, Dave does have some like images and stuff of Pennhurst. They are fucking hilarious. Like the drive up and everything. They were live on TikTok Thursday night from 9 to 10:30. They're a little bit of squirrels at a rave. Not Dave, but James. And if you get Brandon involved, definitely Brandon. But squirrels at a rave is what I like to call it. I was going to say, I'm really excited because David had sent me like 4 or 5 pieces of like clips and evidence.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm really excited to like, because like the stuff that you're talking about, the way you brought it up is very nice.
Oh, thank you.
It's very interesting. But now I'm like, what about? How do you prove? What if? Like those things are like circulating.
Going through. So I do have a heavy belief in like hospitals and asylums. Places that were deemed as supposed to be like a place of care and of health when tragedy occurs. Especially a state-run institution that was there to help and really ended up being like hell for people.
Yeah.
And then you have unmarked graves and stuff there too. It took 79 years to finally get it closed down. The first, God, like 2 or 3 decades, they're looking at them like they're this little, you shouldn't be here kind of people. And then to be tortured, I could see where the energy of those people still reside there. I wholeheartedly believe that, like,
They're trapped
enough
there.
energy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, not to be all woo, but like, no one's spirit should be trapped somewhere in a place of like anger.
Right. Or sadness or pain.
Or that's the one I was looking for. So next week will be interesting.
No,
Before Chrissy and I wrap up, again, I know last week's episode with me in Bosnia and today's part 1 of Pennhurst deals with abuse, mental, emotional, and now we've kind of touched on the physical component. I can't speak to physical abuse because I haven't experienced it. However, it doesn't mean that it's not real, and it doesn't mean that people don't go through it. People very much do. For example, take a look at how much physical abuse Blake Lively is supplying to her co-stars while promoting It Ends With Us and her hair care line. What I want to say with all of that is, if you are someone who is currently going through emotional, physical, or mental abuse, or you know someone who is, please do your part in seeking help. Look at resources near you. Get in touch with whoever you can, someone who believes in you and someone you're confident in will help you, or just anyone you can at all. No one deserves to go through that. Anything you want to add before I close this out?
As always, we are always open to you guys putting in recommendations, right? Shout out to everybody who does follow us, all of our new followers. We welcome you. All of our current followers, we love you. Please make sure you are following all the links in our show notes and bio. We have a link to our
It's huge.
a link to our merchandise website. We also have a link to the You Run Podcast Network in case you're looking for other podcasts
Shout
to
out
listen
to
to.
You Run.
Shout out to Scott. He's doing big things.
Scott.
Did you know that he's like a director? Like an indie director, but he's had some stuff already out.
I think
anyways,
I knew that.
Did you?
I think so. I did some research on him.
Did you?
I'm attaching his name with mine. Like, yeah, true. Of course I'm gonna.
What else is there? Oh God, I don't remember.
Well, yeah, just
like, subscribe, follow.
Like, subscribe, follow, buy our merch. It helps the podcast. Thank you for all of the support you've given us. We are a very small podcast. It's just the two of us, one in Arizona, one in Florida. We've never met yet, but we're planning on a whole bunch of stuff. It's hard with Chrissy, who has 110 kids, and me, who has 110 jobs.
I know, and this is probably leading up to one of the busiest seasons for Halloween.
Of my life. Of my life. So, shout out to, you know what, bitch?
What?
Not that she's ever gonna fucking listen to this shit, but like, shout out to Nicki Minaj. Man, shout out to the greatest rapper of all time. Well, correction, greatest female rapper of all time. Eminem is the greatest female rapper of all time, in my opinion. And if you disagree, I'm gonna send La Llorona to you.
No, there she is.
We didn't say that last time.
We did not send La Llorona last.
There's a lot. Yeah, we didn't send La Llorona last time because I was too busy. I was fighting a bladder. All right, let me tell you.
Fighting a bladder
last week / earlier today, and then eating avocados. I'm just, honestly, who needs Ozempic? So with all of that said, thank you all so much for tuning into the Paranormal Misfits podcast today. Take care of yourselves. Have a great rest of the weekend. And I just know I love spooky stuff, but I know that you guys don't want to leave. And since you have to, bitch, you might as well creep out. Love you, bye.